All right, guys, it's Phil from ClevelandMoto, and I've got something that you've been asking for, and that is a comprehensive description of what all the bikes from Zero are and what they do and what one might be right for you. Check out this video. All right, guys, so we get feedback from our listeners. We get feedback from our viewers because remember, we've got an audio podcast, we've got this YouTube video channel, and we get these comments, and the comments that come in are really good. They help us understand what you want to know more. So here's one for you guys. What is the definition of the perfect Zero electric motorcycle? Which bike should I buy? Because yeah, we do understand that there's the live wire. It's pretty much, you just know about the live wire, right? It's $30,000 and it's sold by Harley Davidson. There's not a lot of different permutations. There's not a lot of variations with the live wire. It's kind of, there's your live wire, pick your color. And then of course there's the Energica, which is the Italian electric motorcycle, and they're fantastic, and they come in different permutations too. And they basically have 3 different versions of their bike. And then there's Zero, and Zero is just like, holy crap, they've got a lot of different versions of a Zero. And that's true because they've been doing it for a very long time, and they've got multiple frames, and they've got multiple versions of each bike that you can get in each frame, and that can become very confusing. So we're going to help you get through that. If you hang in there, I'm going to get you the information that you need to make an educated decision about what Zeros might be right for you. Now, first of all, let's talk about the range, because yeah, the range is huge. It's very easy to get confused because we live in a soundbite society where people just say, oh, it's a Zero, it's this. Okay, yeah, they start at $89.95, so the base model Zero is going to be a very, very entry-level, low-priced item. It's the price of some electric bicycles I've seen. So $89.95 is you're getting in the door with Zero. And you can go all the way to $21,995 for the brand new Zero SRS, which is the full fairing cafe racer style bike, sport bike. So yeah, there's a lot of different options available with Zero electric motorcycles. Now, let's talk about the different models as we go up. We're going to start on my right with the F series. Now the F means it's going to be an FX or it's going to be an FXS. We're not going to talk about the military MMX. That's its own deal and you can't buy one. So we're not going to discuss that. The FXS, real simple. This is their off-road style bike. It's their dirt bike. I like to say it's a trail bike. But that's all you need to think about is if it has the F in the name, so it's an FX, then you're going to see a bike that's going to have their very, very lightweight off-road chassis. And that's going to only be able to carry 1 or 2 battery cells. Now each battery cell, each battery brick, each battery block is about the size of a toaster and weighs about 40 pounds. And each one of those gives you about 46 miles of range, okay? And that's the easiest way to help people understand that everything in the Zero world is going to be a multiple of 3.6 kilowatts. That's how much energy they hold in these battery boxes. Now, these bikes, the FX and the FXS, the way that you charge them is by level 1 charging. You plug them into the wall outlet at home or on the road. Their version of high-speed charging is actually a secondary charging that we call a Delta Q charger. It also gets plugged into your 110 outlet. So you can run this on not just one 110 outlet, but a secondary 110 outlet. And that does over double the speed of charging. So whether you're talking about a 3.6 system, which is the way to get the $89.95 price point. The 3.6 system is 1 battery block. It's literally a self-contained battery with a self-contained battery management system, and it is modular. And keep that in mind, if that's a modular system, so that if you wanted to, you could take 1 battery out, install that battery with a different fresh recharged battery, or maybe install a second battery. And when you buy that system, you're buying the idea that you could do 2 batteries and have your own configuration. Have 1 battery out, you're still going to have 78 foot-pounds of torque. You're just going to have a shorter range. Put the second battery in, now you still got your 78 foot-pounds of torque, but now you've got much more range. So you go from that 46 miles of range to 91 miles of range. And yeah, let's talk about range, because boy, that's a confusing thing when you're talking about electric motorcycles. Are people talking about the range, farting around the neighborhood at 25 miles per hour, going downhill in stoplights so you're regenerating tons of electricity and getting the maximum range possible? Or are we talking about blasting down the highway at 70 plus miles per hour, where wind resistance is not your friend, and these bikes are going to be using electricity very fast? So I'm going to tell you that most manufacturers, the higher number they're going to give you is the city range, and the lower number they're going to give you is going to be the freeway range. And for Zero, they like to say that their single brick, their one battery, 3.6, is going to give you 46 in-town miles and 19 freeway miles. And the good news is we've tested this out, and it turns out that when it comes to these ranges, that most of the manufacturers aren't fudging the numbers too badly. The big guys, the guys that you're going to deal with, the Energica, the Zero, the Harley Davidson bike, like these guys are all fairly good about their numbers. So don't freak out too much. Well, with bikes, obviously, your mileage may vary. Yes, with electricity, your mileage will definitely vary. And if you see that you're consuming electricity faster than you want to be, you can settle down, change your riding, and boy, the range goes up dramatically fast. So keep that in mind. Now, back to this FX platform. You see that it comes in a dirt bike style and a super motard style, or super motard, right? Because in French, you don't pronounce the last consonant ever unless there's another letter after it, which I found out in Quebec City. So, check this out. This bike has 17-inch wheels, front and back. The other bike runs an 18 in the back and a 21 in the front. That's all traditional stuff. So you can buy a lot of different rubber that fits the 17-inch bike, the FXS, and you can buy a lot of different rubber that fits the FX. Once again, dual purpose, street, super mo, trail bike, right? They're both road legal in all 50 states. Top speed on these bikes is going to be 88 miles per hour. I can, hand to God, I've done it every time I get on one. I can tell you for a fact, you're going to go 85 to 88 miles per hour on the top of these things. And if you do the chain conversion, if you get rid of the belt kit, because all Zeros come with belt drive, but you can put a chain conversion kit on them. If you're going to be having the bike off-road or you're going to be jumping and you need something that's more durable than the belt drive, the chain kits are available from the manufacturer. You can install a chain kit yourself or have your dealer install it for you. It's not expensive. They're only about $350. Now, that chain kit, for some reason, they do seem to go a little faster when they've got the chain kit on them. Don't know why, but mine did. That's a real thing. Charge time. Okay, we're talking about that one level charging. Level 1 charging comes out of the wall. The charge time on that guy is going to be about 5 hours for your single battery 3.6 system. It's going to be about 9 hours for your 2 battery 7.2 system. So both of these bikes you see here, they've got the 2 batteries installed. And when you order a bike as a 7.2, it does come with one really big, long battery. You have to specifically order it as a modular, as a 3.6, to be able to do the swap-a-roni thing. Now you can swap out the big battery. You could do that. You could have the 7.2 battery and have another one standing by and pull the one out, slot the other one in. Totally possible, totally doable if your budget will allow it. Let's talk about the weight of these. They are lightweight. So when you do the 3.6 version of this, that's the one battery system, guess what? 247 pounds. 247. That is light. For any dirt bike anywhere, that's light. But a dirt bike with 78 foot-pounds of torque, damn, that's incredible. So, super light, 247. You go to the 7.2 system, let me put my math hat on here. It goes from 247 to 289. What is that? That's a 40-pound difference. So it's actually 42 pounds. So that's what we talked about. Each one of those cells is roughly 40 pounds. Now, that's the difference. It's 289 for the long range 7.2. 247 pounds for the short range 3.6. And that's what we're talking about. It's like 91 miles. So if you have a 2 battery system in this bike, you can get about 91 miles of range out of the bike, unless you're riding it on the freeway, in which case that's going to drop to in the 40s. Okay, so just be aware of that. Now, ABS systems. Yes, every Zero has ABS, but not every Zero has traction control. And that's an important thing to know, because if you've never ridden a bike that has this much torque and that lightweight, if you don't have traction control, you're going to be spinning the back tire. I guarantee it. You jump on this bike and you give it a handful of beans, it's going to result in painting a big black stripe down the road or a wheelie. So These bikes do not have traction control as an option, and that might be important to you if you're thinking, if you're a new rider, you're not used to that kind of torque delivery, these bikes do not have traction control. However, they do have a custom mode in the power delivery system. So you can set it for eco, which is just plotting around the neighborhood, getting the maximum range you can. You can set it for sport, which is game on, very little regenerative braking, almost none, and very little regenerative coasting, almost none. Or you can set it in custom mode, which custom mode is what I call poor man's traction control, or wealthy man's traction control, if you will, in this case, because in custom mode you can set how much power the bike gives, and that could be perfect for you so that you're not spinning the tire all over town. That's what those do. That's the quickie version of what the FX platform is. That's these bikes right here. Okay, that's the basics of that particular bike. If you want to know more, let me know. Now let's get into the S's, because the S's is where stuff gets big. So the S comes in 2 basic platforms and then 2 versions, or 2 hot rod versions of that. So the basic S model is the blue bike over there. That blue bike, the S model, it sits low to the ground, it's lightweight, it's got a super low fun seat height, and it's really, really easy to ride. It's lightweight because it only has a 7.2 battery in it. And then there's the DS, which is the dual sport. So S, standard S model. DS, that's the dual sport model. And that you're going to see, no longer see the 17-inch wheels. You're going to see the bigger, the 18 and 21 configuration. You're going to see the bigger wheel configuration that you're going to see on a dual sport bike. And that dual sport wheel configuration and that taller suspension is going to raise the bike up in the air a little bit because it is a dual sport bike. So let's go through the numbers real quick. On the S model, the basic S model, it's going to set you back $10,900. So $10,995 for the S model bike. It's going to come to you with the 7.2 battery, 7.2 kilowatts. Its range is going to be about 110 miles, right? So that's, the Torx is 110. Your range on that is going to be 179 for the big battery. It's going to be about 90 for the 7.2 batteries, okay? So hopefully that didn't get too confusing. Kilowatt hours. Oh yeah, it's got a 7.2 kilowatt hour battery on board. You could upgrade that to a 14.4 if you wanted to, and that's in the standard S model. Top speed on these is 98 miles per hour. I've checked it. It's 98 miles per hour. Charge time on those, standard charging on those is 5 hours. That's going to be your level 1 charger. You can also get optional level 2 charging on those for over $2,000 more, and that goes into the top storage area. These all have a top storage area built into the bike. You can open it up and there's enough room in there for you to decide to either put an additional charger or an additional battery. So you can do a charge tank or a power tank. Goes right there in the top. Very convenient to have as that additional storage. And remember, on the S model, not only do you have storage there, but you have storage in the bottom of the bike where that second set of batteries could go. So you could easily stuff 2 gallon jugs of milk in there. You could easily stuff 24 beers in there in that lower storage area that's built into the S model bike, making the S model an excellent commuter, an absolutely fantastic commuter. Now, cool thing about it is its weight, 313 pounds. That's light. For any person who's new to riding a motorcycle, 313? Wow, that's great. And 313 with the base model, 78 foot-pounds of torque, base model, 78 foot-pounds of torque, 313 pounds of weight, easily over 100-mile range. This is a very good way to get into the world of electric motorcycles. This is an excellent way. Plus, it's scalable. As you own that bike, you could add to it. You could give it more battery. You could give it faster charging. The bike could grow with you as your needs change, and that's really cool. The suspension is all Showa racetrack. I call it Showa racetrack quality suspension. It's fully adjustable in every possible way. We could do a whole clinic on just the suspension. The J1 brakes are excellent. I can tell you, you can put this bike on its nose. It is not suffering for lack of brake. It has more than enough brakes. And now, on these bikes, ABS is absolutely standard. So this is a standard ABS product, and it has the 3 modes we talked about. It has the Eco mode, it has the Custom mode, and it has the Sport mode. So those are all built into the bike as well. What a value for $10,995. Pretty great place to be. Now, if you do the DS version of this bike, it does the same exact thing, but it raises the bike up. So we pick up these different, these larger off-road style wheels. And that is the difference between an S and a DS. It really comes down to the seat height. You're going to ask what that is. Well, it's actually 31.8 on the S. That's a nice low seat height. On these F bikes over there, the FXs, our seat height's about 34.7. So that's pretty high, but it's a dirt bike, so it's okay for it to be high. But a 31.8 on that, that's great. You turn it into a DS, a dual sport, and you're going to raise that 31.8 seat height to a 33.2. That's this bike right here. It's a DS. Okay, so we said there's an S and there's a DS. But let's get weird. Let's take that S and that DS. Let's take that street and that dual sport. Let's turn them into rocket ships. And for that, we add the letter R. And R means exactly what you think it means. Wow, it is just fast. With the SR or the DSR, you're going from 78 torques to 110 torques. And if that doesn't impress you, it should. Because the weight of the bike, on the SR, the weight of the bike only goes up to 414. Okay? So what you're doing is you're doubling your battery because the SR is only available with a 14.4 battery. You're doubling your battery. You're only adding 100 pounds to the bike. At 414, that's very, very lightweight. The Energica and the Harley Davidson are nowhere near 414 pounds. Those bikes are over 500 pounds. And at 414, the SR is a very, very lightweight machine. It is extremely point and shoot. And it's quick. It is quick, like crazy fast. If you haven't ridden one yet, they're diabolical how quick they are. We raced the Kawasaki H2 and just smoked the hell out of it because it's so quick. Now, the top speed on those is, the top speed's not 150,000 miles an hour. It's 102, and it is, I'm telling you too, that is straight up. I've seen 108, okay? So there might be a little bit of windage there, but if I tell you it's 102, you're not going to be able to prove me wrong. So that's a really important thing to know. But when we get into these bikes, now that we've left the FX chassis and we're into this S chassis, now we pick up the ability to do one thing, and that is carry 4 battery cells with an optional 5th in the top of the gas tank, which means our range could go up to over 200 miles if we wanted to add that 5th battery pack up here. On their standard 14.4 kilowatt hours that they carry, it is completely possible to get 179 miles of range in the city, which we'd like to say is easily 90 on the freeway. I've done way more than that, but I can assure you it can do that. They both have ABS brakes. Neither one of them has traction control. You're going to have to do the traction control yourself with that custom setting, so be aware of that. Every tire in the world is available in these sizes, so you'll have no problem doing anything with the tires. Super easy, no problem there. Another thing about these bikes that is worth noting is the SR is only $15,495. So $15,495 to get a 110 foot-pounds of torque. It's actually 116 foot-pounds of torque, I believe, since the update. But yeah, so to get that much torque in a bike that weighs 414 pounds, that has that kind of range built in from the factory, has the storage area in the top, and to get that for $15,495 in the world of electric motorcycles, that's crazy good. It's like half the price of the Harley Davidson Livewire, but you're getting some really serious numbers there. Those numbers are way better than the Livewire. Do your math on that because that's a tremendous value. Now, this is the time when I'd like to talk to you briefly about how a power plant can be too much of a good thing, and that's the DSR. So we take the DSR, and what we've done is we've taken these awesome Pirelli Diablo Rosa Corsa tires. We've taken those tires away, and we've given it these Pirelli dual sport tires. Now, when you lose that much kind of road-holding sport bike grip, and you give some of it up so that you can go off-road and have tires that work in the dirt and the mud, what you end up with is a serious loss of grip at the back end of the bike when trying to deal with over 110 foot-pounds of torque. And that's something you should be aware of if you're considering buying this bike. Because when you get a DS and you get it in the R version, game on, baby. These things are an unholy handful to ride if you're not good at it. If you don't trust your ability to modulate your life expectancy with your right hand, stay the hell away from a DSR. We only let people ride these who are really experienced motorcycle pilots. And even then they come back here and they're just like, wow, that thing's crazy fast. And because of the tire selection, it can be a little rowdy. So just be aware of that. When you crack the throttle on these things, again, no traction control beyond what you set in for custom mode. So this is a rowdy motorcycle. It's already sitting up in the air a little bit. We've had some people, and law enforcement loves this bike. And when you take a cop who's used to riding a really, really heavy 900-pound Harley Davidson, and you put him on this bike, holy cats, at 419 pounds, that's less than half of what his Harley weighed, and now he's got over 110 foot-pounds of torque. Whoa! No wonder these guys are going down the road on the back license plate. So just be aware of that. Okay, now, can we upgrade them? Sure. How about something else? You don't just charge them by plugging them into the wall. I do, because I got to sleep at night. I know I'm going to be sleeping for 6 or 7 hours, so the bike can recharge on my mains at my house. No big deal, level 1 charging. But both of these bikes are upgradable to level 2 charging. That level 2 charging is that socket you see everywhere. You know, you can pay a couple of bucks and get, I think it's about $1 an hour, and get all the electricity you can handle in front of the favorite place to do business, or you can install one in your home. You've got 220 coming into your house. You can install a setup in your house super cheap. The 220 charger that we sell to our customers, it's under 300 bucks. And it's in a cute little zipper bag. You can take it with you. So that's how easy it is to get 220 charging where you live or on the road when you're out and about from any 220 power source. Now, you're going to have to use the top tank for that. That's where your storage area, that's going to go to your fast charger. So that's going to be your charge tank. That charge tank's going to go in there. You're going to stick that level 2 charger right in there to charge that bad boy up. And then your charging times are going to drop super fast. We're talking about 2.5 hours or less to fully charge one of these from nothing, from no electricity at all the way up to the top in about 2.5 hours. They say for an 80% charge, you're looking at about 1.5 hours on these bikes. So that's kind of cool, fast charging. So that's available for either of these bikes. Okay, so take a break. We're going to think about this for a second. Now, I'd like to buy a Zero, but how am I going to pay for it? Well, is there any way I can save some money? I'm going to go in and put on my negotiating hat. I'm going to kick the dealer in the balls. I'm going to demand a discount. No, don't have to do that. Probably not going to respond well to that. Prices are pretty well fixed across America. But what if I told you you could get 10% off the price of the bike just by being a red-blooded American? Yep, that's right. The discount's back. Now, it's not really a discount. It's a rebate, so to speak. It's a tax credit. And what that means is whatever you paid for your bike, you can get 10% of that as a rebate on your taxes for buying a Zero motorcycle. And actually, it's any electric vehicle. So 10%, I believe it's up to $2,500. So unless you spend over $25,000 on your bike, you're going to be good to go. You also get 30% tax credit for any charging device you buy. So if you want to get a Delta Q charger for these bikes and you're going to spend $600 on buying one of those, how cool would it be to get 30% of that back off your taxes? That means if you owed Uncle Sam $10,000 in taxes, you owe him a lot less right now. That's a tax credit as a result of participating in the program that Zero's doing. If you already own a Zero and you're watching this because you just love my videos, take a look at your invoice, take a look at your receipt, because it is retroactive, and we know customers who have bought their bikes in 2018 that are getting the tax credit on their taxes this year because they bought a Zero in the period of time, because it is a retroactive tax credit. So even if you bought a bike last year or the year before, check with your accountant, check the rules. You could get 10% of the purchase price of your bike back in the form of a tax credit. That's super cool. If you live in California, there's an additional $750 for you. That's pretty cool. If you live in Pennsylvania, $1,000 extra. Okay? Look these things up. They exist. If you're in Oregon, $750 back. That's in addition to the tax credit. That's in addition to the federal tax credit. Those are programs that are available to you in your state. Zero is going to sweeten the pot even a little bit more, and that is if you've recently completed the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course or your Motorcycle Safety Foundation instructor, $500. If you are law enforcement, first responder, or military, $500. So that's a great way to get an additional discount. When you start thinking about getting an FX, which is all ready for the 3.6 version, which is already only $89.95, and you think about taking $900 off of that for a federal tax credit, and then you start thinking about taking an additional $500 off if you're a Motorcycle Safety Foundation graduate, you've taken an MSF course or a rider training program near you, or you're law enforcement or military, holy cow. And then think about buying that extra battery pack, because you're going to get 30% off of that. So you can buy the 3.6, and you can make the 3.6 into a 7.2 by buying an additional battery pack. And that battery pack, because it's a battery or a charging device, you're going to get 30% off on that. It's not off, it's a tax credit. But again, that money stays in your pocket where it should be. You can buy cooler things with it. So that's our discount structure on zeros. That's all there. Hopefully that saved you some money. Now, behind me, that's the SRF. And we dig the SRF. And the SRF has just been announced to be available in an SRS, because SRF is a street fighter and SRS is a street sport, I guess, but the SRS is fully fared. And the SRF is not. It's a street fighter. You see it behind me. It's super cool, okay? And with the SRF, you're getting some very, very big numbers here. And you should, because it's not cheap. So the SRF comes in the game at about $19,495. The difference between a basic, or what they call an SRF standard, and an SRF premium is the charging capacity, the amount of juice you can put into the bike, and heated grips, and aluminum bar ends, and this little baby windshield we can't even talk about. It's like a little, I don't know, it's a place for the flies to hit. So, we're talking about SRF, 144 torques. If that doesn't have your attention, again, it should. 144 torques is very impressive. Base model's 161 miles of range, 99 on the freeway. Very, very good range. 14.4 kilowatt hour battery, same as the other bikes, but it's got some cooling built into the battery. That's really neat. It is a totally new frame. We talked about Zero having 3 distinctly different frames. The FX frame, the S frame, and now the SR frame, SRF frame. That's this trellis frame that you see here behind you. It's dead sexy. The bike itself is a bit bigger. It's got a little bit more room in it. As a person that's 6'1", about 200 pounds, I find that that bike fits me really, really well. So for me, I think that's a perfect fit. We're talking about weight on the bike. The weight on the machine is 485. So because this bike does carry on it, the high-speed charger is built right in. Even the base model has 3 kilowatts of charging at level 2. That's the standard build on that bike. The premium version of that bike runs at 6 kilowatts of charging, still on level 2, but now you're getting as much juice as you can get out of those standalone chargers that you see out in the world. They usually put out between 6 and 7 kilowatts. Now, seat height is very, very low. We talked about how low the seat height was with the Zero S being 31.8 inches. Now, this is 31.0. And they do make a lower seat kit available for it as well. So talk to your dealer. If 31 inches isn't low enough for you, they do have a lower seat kit that'll buy you an extra inch or so. Now, ABS, absolutely. All the Zero bikes have ABS, but this one has the Bosch bike control system. And that system, that motorcycle control system, is a multi-axis control system. It's not just ABS. It's traction control and ABS, everything put into one pile, and it is infinitely adjustable. And if you're dumb enough, you can turn it off if you wanted to. But I don't think I'm going to be turning off the traction control system on a bike with 144 torques. That doesn't seem like a great idea. And at 485, I know to a lot of our people that run cafe racers or run like an R6, 485 might feel like a heavy bike, but realistically, the Energica is about 100 pounds heavier. We know the live wire's heavier than, it's also over 485. So 485 is still a very reasonable weight for a motorcycle that gives you leader class performance, and that's exactly what you get back here. Now, that premium edition, you go to the premium edition, the price is going to go up $2,000, but you're also getting a completely second charger built into the bike. 3 kilowatts up to 6 kilowatts. And anybody who pays for charging knows that getting that much charging for only $2,000 and them kicking in the heated grips, that's a value. I mean, that really is. That's going to pay for itself in fast charging. Now, it is level 2, but it does come with an adapter that you don't have to pay for so that you can charge the bike in your house off of the level 1. Zero does give you that adapter for free. I know other companies don't. Zero does. That you plug it into your level 2 outlet just like you would out on the street, but then the other end of it goes into your household mains. Whether it's just a regular standard outlet or a European outlet, The bike really doesn't care what it's going into it, whether it's 110 or 220, 50 or 60, it sorts that out, 50 or 60 hertz. It deals with that. You don't have to think about it. Now, the funny thing about this SRF is we would be remiss if we did not talk to you about the fact that this is the first time that it has the TFT display and it Bluetooths to your phone and it does cellular connectivity. So that means the bike always has the ability to communicate with your phone and your phone has the ability to communicate with your bike. Yes, there is a cell phone built into that machine, and that gives you the ability, no matter where the bike is parked, to know if the side stand goes up, to know if it gets started, to know if it gets moved, to know if it's altered. It also gives you the ability remotely to change the charging parameters, to make settings on the bike, to change your custom modes, and do things remotely through your phone, even though you're not sitting within a Bluetooth range of your bike. Because all of these bikes communicate with your phone, and Zero has a fantastic app that these bikes work with. But the SRF and the SRS take you one better and give you not just Bluetooth connectivity, but actual worldwide connectivity. And the app gives you the ability to do more things and to duplicate your data and to give you screens that aren't available on the bike that are on your phone. So the preponderance of data is overwhelming with the SRF. Oh, did I mention it has heated grips? Because that's important. It also has cruise control built in from the factory. You don't have to add it in, it's built into the bike. I'm sure that I've missed something. There's so much data to go over. And we're only talking about Zero's line here. That's all we're talking about. This is purely Zero information. If you've got things you want to add, if you've got questions, hit that comment thing. That's where this video came from. This is a comment being answered, and we want to help you with that. If you've had some experiences that were different, if you found something different than that, let me know about it. I'll be happy to give you as much information as I can. Keep an eye on our channel for more info about products like this. Please remember, ride fast and take chances.